Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Somerset Sports Talk. I'm Gary,
I'm Jack.
and we are here to talk about one thing and one thing only.
Let me guess. Tennis?
Not tennis.
shoot.
Good guess, though.
Well, you know, it's in between majors, so
Well,
why not?
that's right. If it's not golf, there's really nothing to talk
What else
about.
could there be?
We are going to talk football.
Oh, that little thing?
And that's this little game called the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like, I've never heard of it before, but I guess it's supposed
There's
to
a
be
lot of
pretty
talk
good.
about it. I don't know.
Yes. So there are other things we could talk about, which hopefully we'll get a few more shows in before things really start to pick up, especially for Jack.
Well, Masters is coming up, so we have to have a
So we
show
have,
a little bit about golf.
Yep, and then that's March Madness too.
So March Madness is coming.
And then for local people here, the big Ovechkin deal about passing Gretzky,
Right.
which I never thought would happen ever.
Nobody did.
And so that's a big
There
deal
was a
around
great
here.
statement the other day about, you know, Ovechkin's lived harder than most, and he's still out there skating like he's 20 years old. He's just like physically capable of doing
Yes,
it.
I may have to tune
And
into a game just
And they're
to see
getting in
what he
games now
does.
because the team's really good where they're getting a lot of empty net opportunities at
Uh-huh.
the end of the game.
Yeah.
They're feeding him the puck.
Oh yeah,
And so he's shooting
Oh,
from the other side.
that's cheap. That's an
but
asterisk.
Hey, it's in the goal.
That's an asterisk waiting to happen.
It counts.
So we do have a few other things. The big trade in the NBA recently.
Right.
We'll talk about that because I don't think any of that really takes a front seat until football's over.
I haven't looked at the NBA
And
much
football
yet.
is very happy about that. That
Sure.
they pretty much dominate. You know,
Well, they took over
the front
Christmas
page.
from the
Yeah.
NBA, so
Yeah,
boo-hoo.
yeah. And LeBron said you kind of pouted and said it's still
Yeah.
our holiday, and football said, I don't think so.
Now,
So, all right. So we got a couple of things we want to talk about before we get to the game. I wanted to run down a couple of things about the MVP for the season.
okay.
Now, I think this was on ESPN. They have 11 people that they mentioned.
Okay.
So,
That's a lot.
yeah, but I think most of them are. I don't know if this is the order I wrote them down in, and maybe that's how ESPN has them.
Okay.
And again, when we're taping this, I think
Is this
tonight
for
is the
different
NFL
positions,
awards.
or-
No, just the league
Just the
MVP.
overall MVP.
Yeah, the NFL awards I think are
Right.
tonight. We're doing this on a Thursday, so. But here they have Derrick Henry. Yeah, he had a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Sam Darnold.
Eh.
Yeah, he had a good year until
He
they
showed his
needed
stripes
to
at the
win.
end.
Yeah,
At the end, it was kind of
Yeah.
brutal.
Jamar Chase. I
Yeah.
guess he had a good
Oh, yeah,
season.
huge season.
Your guy Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Rookie of the year
Some
for sure.
MVP talk is good.
Yeah.
You know, for
But he's
him.
rookie of the year for sure.
Patrick Mahomes, who should be in
Should be.
the discussion every year,
Yeah.
just like Jordan.
Although he really
LeBron.
statistically didn't have a great year. They just won every game.
Yeah,
Except one.
yeah,
So
yeah. The one they needed.
that's pretty valuable if you're a QB and you're winning. the game.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield had a good year.
I love Baker.
You know, this is the guy during the season I thought deserved it when nobody was, talking about him. And that's Jared Goff.
Okay.
I thought Jared.
He was on fire.
He played well.
He was on fire.
Yeah, he had 5 interceptions one game.
Yeah. But they
I think
still
he
won.
came
the game.
back and scored through 5 TDs the next game or something.
Yeah.
I
A lot of
thought
blowout games. Yeah, big
getting
games.
Detroit to where they were.
Yeah.
That would have been my vote.
Those darn Commanders.
Yeah. Oh.
Boo-hoo.
Joe Burrow, who I guess had a good season.
He had a phenomenal
Statistically-
season. He was on Dan Patrick this morning, and he
Was
was
he?
hilarious talking about the season.
Oh, yeah?
Because Patrick was bringing up all the things, and then some of the negative. He goes, "Thanks a lot for bringing that up." I forgot about it already.
Yeah.
He had a sense of humor about where they ended up.
But when you're
But they started off so
7-9.
poorly,
Yeah.
and they couldn't dig
It's-
themselves out
yeah.
of the hole. So
and then probably the last 3, which would be their first 3.
yeah,
Saquon Barkley, 2,000 yards. That was a
he changed the team.
yeah, he did.
And for the regular season, you could make a great case, and they you watch enough of the shows, and they made great cases
Yeah.
for him being the MVP.
Yeah.
You know, with what he was able to do.
And I do think that, I think he would have broke the rushing record, but
He
he
could have.
sat out the
He
last
could.
game.
He had what 150
Kind
yards
of-
or something to go.
Kind of
And-
classy on
and-
his part. Like,
Well, I don't think he had a whole lot of choice in it. I think that the coach said you're sitting because he sat everybody else. Because the ultimate goal is happening on Sunday night.
Right.
And that's why it's kind of a do or die thing. I'm hearing about the do or die stuff, and it's
Yeah.
related to how that all ends up for sure.
And then Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who
Yeah.
I think statistically were pretty close to each other.
Right.
So where do you
Right.
fall in? Who should win this?
Well, I mean, I like I told you just the other minute that Vegas has it that Josh Allen will probably win. Now the problem with this is it's very, I don't say very, but it's somewhat subjective in how it's chosen. It's not just off of the numbers. There's stories. There's who's got a better story.
And that's
Saquon could very well, should maybe very well still in it, but it's all Super Bowl related. But this is regular season.
right.
So, the Bills had a great regular season, and the Ravens had, a potential almost monstrous regular season, right, Steve? See, he ain't even listening. Lamar was fantastic most of the time, but he had some problems with holding the ball on occasion, and they missed some field goals and so on and so forth. So they didn't, dominate like they could have, but they still won the division and so on and so forth. But he's won the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So the idea of giving it to him for a third year is less maybe appealing than Allen, who I don't think's ever won one.
He's never won one.
So there could be some sympathy, and maybe that's why Vegas has got the odds that he'll win it over Lamar by a fairly large amount.
And here's what I think. I think that early momentum carries people a long way.
Ken, sure.
And then it's like, he's having a great season, MVP, like week 3.
Well, that's the sports writers and
Yes.
the sports talk show hosts and all these people that
and to me
start off that in the second week.
To me, Saquon Barkley kind of snuck up.
He
It was
did.
a kind of a quiet 2,000-yard season. Like I knew he was doing well.
Right.
Eagles were doing well. But I didn't really realize his yard total was that high.
Part of that is the I use that word culture, but over the last number of years, running backs statistics nobody cared about.
Yeah.
Whether they had a 100-yard game, 200-yard, didn't matter. Really didn't matter. This year, he got very focused on when he jumped over and went sideways and hurdled to one dude and that one run and did backwards flip and all that. So he then kind of got more and more noticed because of his successes and his big runs and how fast he was running. He was clocked over 21 miles an hour several times.
Yeah.
And he had chunks of runs, 60-plus yards for touchdowns. So that front line of Philadelphia is such that they can create a space.
Right.
And in unlike the Giants, where there was no space, by the time he got the ball, they were in the backfield most of the time, the defenders were. So he didn't have a chance to do a whole lot there. So his physical ability is just off the charts, and his sense of being able to find the hole and then blast through it is phenomenal. But the question always is, what's the most valuable position on the field? And it's hard to argue against quarterback, as we see every year. The best quarterbacks tend to end up in the final show,
right?
Or in playoffs, it's pretty much all the better quarterbacks. This year Burrow didn't get in because his team was that poor early on; they couldn't get in. But it's rare you have a middling, terrible quarterback in the playoffs, and certainly not most recently in the last 20 years with the Super Bowl. And probably somebody can fact check me and go, wrong, there was whatever.
Jared Goff a couple years ago with the Rams.
Stafford won with the Rams.
Yeah, but
Goff got in
before that.
2 years before that.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
so
he wasn't like
it does happen.
a great quarterback.
And Purdy's not a showstopper either. So I guess that's.
Yeah.
But they're very competent, and they're not like low end. They're middle.
Yeah.
They're kind of second tier as they call them.
And that's why.
But I think Allen's going to win.
You're going with Allen. Again, I think his name was brought up first, the earliest.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he didn't have much
he-
to work with, and he did great, right? That's
And-
what they're saying.
see, there's guys who can play, and then there's NFL players.
Yeah.
If you're playing on the NFL, you've got to have some kind of skill. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
oh, there's
You're-
no question.
You're good. So I don't.
Yeah.
Some people, yes, you know, you got Randy Moss you're throwing to. That helps.
Oh, yeah.
That he's in a different league. But everybody, you know, and that's the thing that always bugged me when they talk about Brady had no weapons. But Brady had weapons that fit that system.
Sure.
And they weren't like great. He had Moss the one year.
Right.
You know, but Edelman and Wes Welker
Right.
and you know,
Well,
those guys, but they are NFL players.
That's
so,
right.
You know,
Well, and that was the Patriot way, whatever
Yeah.
that meant. But I think
Yeah.
mostly it meant do your job.
yeah.
You know, you're not a superstar here. You just
Yeah,
get the
you
job
just
done.
play. Just
and
get- yeah.
I'll get you the ball when it's your time.
And if they put people in who could do that,
Right.
and that's
And that's
you know,
kind of what happened with Buffalo early on, with Diggs
Yeah.
going away from you know getting traded away or leaving.
Right.
Was that he didn't have a number one to focus on, so he spread the ball all over the place.
exactly, which
And
sometimes is better.
They did better and
Ran when they could, and then
Yeah.
they got Amari Cooper, and
Yep.
that helped.
Yep.
So I because of that fact, he was talked so much early. I believe Josh Allen's going to win it too,
Okay.
deservedly so. But if I like Barkley too, and I like what Goff did all year. But
If Barkley wins, that would be a coup.
that would be 'cause like you said, running
Rare
backs-
that a running back would even
running
be
back was
considered,
a
you know.
dead position.
Yeah,
you
for a
know,
long time.
and now it's
It's gotten hot again, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. It got hot because the veterans got traded to
Yeah.
good teams,
yeah,
and they were able to do
and
well.
they were able to run the ball.
So
All right, so now the runner-up award, if you would, the offensive player of the year.
oh, that's Barkley,
Yeah.
for sure.
That
Can't argue
hands
that.
down.
No.
It's the non-quarterback MVP
If it wasn't Barkley, it
award.
might have been Chase, but I think that Barkley just
Or Henry.
or Henry.
'Cause Henry had a good year.
Big year, yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the record they give
Yep.
to
Right.
everybody but the quarterbacks. So I didn't even see defensive player of the year. I have no idea
I don't either.
who would be in that
I know.
category.
Jalen Carter, I think, is mentioned in there from Philly,
Philadelphia.
and
The
maybe
Jones,
Miles Garrett,
was
maybe
it Chris Jones?
Chris
from
Jones from
Kansas City should be, yeah. Watt is always
Right.
mentioned. Miles Garrett, like, is
Yeah.
always mentioned. So I don't have no idea who's going to win that one. And then the comeback player of the year. And I saw this. They had Joe Burrow, but what did he come back from?
Well, he was injured.
I guess the end of the year, right? He missed the
He
last.
missed a lot of last year.
And yeah, so or Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
He came back from not playing to being a starter, and
Yeah.
you know,
He would have been
Yeah.
my first go. I mean, he
I
finished
yeah,
the season
I
kinda
think
slow,
he had a good comeback year.
It'll be interesting to see where that goes next year,
Yeah,
as far as McConnell's coming back. Everything's going to be basically, well, they've lost some of their OCs and DCs and all these
Yeah.
coordinators move and shake, but you know, the,
Yeah,
the
with
coach has
J.J.
got a
McCarthy.
system, and you know they have
Yeah.
the rookie still to play.
yeah, and that's like I saw that coach of the year, and I saw his name, Kevin O'Connell
Yeah.
from Minnesota, which probably. No, I don't think when they lost the quarterback, anybody expected them,
No,
especially with Darnold having a spotty past.
yeah,
You know,
no,
so
he's
good for
definitely
him.
he's deserving. Yeah,
Yeah, the other one might have been Dan Campbell
Yeah.
because that Lions really put together a great regular season.
yeah.
And I know last year they had a good year. They got to the conference
Yeah.
championship game and lost.
Yeah.
So one of those guys, probably O'Connell, he probably deserves it.
Yep.
Rookie of the year,
It's got to be Jaden Davis.
yeah, it's got to be. The only other person close would be Bo Nix. I
Nix
think.
came on strong.
He
and
had a
did
good
great.
season.
Drake May was making a good run, but he came in and
Yeah,
started
Drake
too
May
late.
did. Yeah,
But just from the get-go, Daniels was
yeah,
otherworldly. I mean, played like as one of the coaches, defensive coaches, scheming against him. Says, You don't look like a rookie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He plays like a vet.
He does. He's so cool.
He knows where the ball needs to go.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much.
And all that gets announced tonight, Thursday, right?
Yes, I believe so. So that, we just want to get that out of the way. It's been a while since we did this. There's no sense talking about how the Chiefs got there.
Yeah.
Big win over the Bills. It was a tight win, but they win when they have to.
Yeah.
And then
The Washington win over Detroit was crazy.
that was, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
But it just goes to turnovers and stuff, when it doesn't go your way. Because it actually went the other way when they played Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So the turnovers went the opposite way, and the score got out of control. It was the closest 55 to 23 game
in the history of the
NFL.
NFL.
55 to 23.
Yeah, I believe that too.
But it was a closer game until a couple of those turnovers happened right back to back, and then it was pretty much over.
And once you start getting behind.
And that's what's going to. Are we ready to talk at all about Philly and Kansas City?
Yes, we are.
Because that'll lead into where the ebb and flow of the game initially. I think the first quarter is going to be huge in terms of how it's going to go and what Philly's chances of winning are.
Yeah.
And this is all the consensus. If it ends up late in the day, late in the game, one score, Kansas City going to find a way to win because that's what they do.
Yes.
But Philadelphia's got the talent and ability and explosive potential that if you get out 21 points ahead in the first quarter and then don't let up, then it could be a blowout.
And like Kansas City has not scored a lot of points all year.
And it's not in the offensive dominating mode.
Right, but they have that potential.
Just like you said, they're all pros.
Yeah.
I mean, they got great, they have some good high
Travis Kelce,
players. Yeah.
They can go long to the Worthy kid.
Yeah.
He's
Pacheco's
fast.
back running.
Pacheco's running well. Kareem Hunt's running well.
Kareem Hunt's out of the backfield.
They've
Mahomes going to spread it all around.
They got all those other receivers that, like Juju Schuster-Smith, whatever, and a couple guys like that who can play.
Yeah. Well, so much of a Super Bowl is initially the scheme and how they draw up the plays and how well they execute them early on. Because if they can stay to point, then eats the clock down. It becomes more of a defensive than offensive battle, and that's what's going to favor Kansas City.
Yeah.
And Kansas City's defense is the top 5 of the league, I think, for most of the year.
Yeah.
As is Philadelphia.
They're both good deal.
Yeah. Strong.
It's almost like what is it? Chris Jones. Besides that, name somebody on that defense.
Well,
it's almost like the Dolphins of the '70s, the no-name defense.
Well, there's a lot to be said for that.
I only know one other guy because he was a Wisconsin Badger.
Right.
And I follow those guys into the NFL.
Right.
And that's Leo
See,
Chanel at linebacker.
if there was defensive players fantasy football, then I might have a shot at knowing who's on the team. But I didn't even do fantasy football 2 or 3 years ago.
We ought to try that.
And now I know. Well, maybe it's out there.
Tackles, sacks.
They
you
may
get
have
points
a
for
version
that.
of it.
Interceptions.
But the offensive side is so well known because everybody knows who's
right.
who.
And
And that's true for me now. I know much more about all the teams and who plays on the offense. But the defense, I got no idea for the most part. Except for the really big names that are game breakers.
Yeah. And on Philly, I know Darius Slade Jr. and then an ex-Wisconsin Badger linebacker, Baum.
Yeah. So
who's had a great season for them.
Yeah.
I think he was all pro. And then you said that Carter guy. I've heard his name a lot the last couple of games.
He's a beast.
And it just, when you think about it, you think of the different scenarios. Well, Kansas City's going to control the ball, score.
Yeah.
Their defense is going to be stingy, give up a few points. So it's going to be a tight game, or all those Philly's got some weapons. And they could score quickly, because Barkley can score quickly. And, they get a big lead, like you say, and it's kind of a blowout.
On paper, as they say, position by position, except maybe for the quarterback, they're equal to or better. Philadelphia is than Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's through the whole offensive line and defensive lines and the backfields of both. And so from that end, Philly's got an edge talent-wise,
Yeah,
but you have the Mahomes-Reed factor.
yeah.
And nobody wants to bet against Mahomes.
You
Because when you
can't. I
do,
don't-
you lose.
Yes.
And his record in the postseason continues just to be unparalleled.
Yeah.
And they're already giving him, if he wins this one, is he the GOAT over Brady? Already? Come on.
Yeah.
It's a little soon.
Yeah.
But
He
in
needs 3
7
more
years,
after
5
this.
Super Bowl appearances,
Yeah.
4 wins, that's pretty impressive
Yeah.
stat. And he's only, whatever, 28 years old or somewhere in there.
28, 29, somewhere in-
So he's
yeah.
still a young guy.
He's got some time now.
So,
And you just don't want to. It's almost like he wants you to take the lead late in the game, and then you see the magic.
isn't it something?
You know,
It's
because
like-
it always comes out that
It's
way.
only interesting if I'm behind with
Yeah.
2 minutes to go and I have to go 80 yards.
Yeah, but
So-
that it's like
But Brady was kind of like that. Joe Montana used to be sort of like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Elway had that
the knack
way
to
back
get
in those
points.
older-
When,
yeah.
And the thing with Mahomes is he's not flashy anymore, but he knows where to find the people that are open
Right.
when they have to be.
So
And
here's
there's
the
a knack
thing.
of winning that
Yeah.
you cannot discount
Right.
for some people.
So over the last number of weeks, the favoritism topic has come up
Mhm.
among whether he gets favorite calls,
Mhm.
favorite calls, and maybe the NFL is telling the refs to protect the guy, which is probably you got to hope that it's got nothing
Right.
behind
I've
it.
seen so many
But
memes with
sometimes you watch some of the stuff that happens, as it was with Brady.
yeah.
He got a lot of calls that
Yeah.
he might not have gotten. And then you watch Lamar run out of bounds and get hit 5 yards out of bounds, and
Yeah.
there's no
call.
flag. And
Yeah.
you go, wait,
Wait,
what?
that's not right.
And then Mahomes does. He's no dummy. He knows how to
Yeah.
do what he does in terms of drawing flags. But it'll be very curious to see if maybe Philly takes a little extra crack at him early to test the waters and see what the refs are going to do. So maybe there's going to be an
Yeah.
like
But here's the thing
cautious.
too.
I can't call that because I don't want to bring the world saying, I
Yeah.
gave him a favorite guy call.
But your guy runs too.
Well, that's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Hertz runs
Hurts
too.
runs, oh, no question.
So if they're gonna do that to
Yeah.
Mahomes, what do you think Kansas City's defense
Right.
will do to Hertz?
Right.
They're not. They'll test him too.
And I'm curious to know if Kansas City's come up with some way to defend the tush push. Because the Washington tried on the goal line to shoot it a couple times.
Yeah.
And they did it enough where I didn't even know there was such a rule.
Oh, that rule, yeah.
Where if you do it, it's like mom's telling you, if you do that again, you're
Yeah,
grounded
it's
for
a
a month.
touchdown. Yeah.
If you do that again, we're putting
It's a
6
touchdown.
points on the board.
If you think about it,
It's almost undefendable.
they can't
but-
keep. Okay, it's goal to goal. Now it's 1 yard. Now it's a half a yard. Now it's a quarter yard.
Yeah.
Now
Oh, yeah, they
it's an
couldn't have kept
eighth of a
doing it.
yard. All of a sudden you're talking each penalty you move it
Yeah.
like 2 inches.
But the thinking is that Philly has 4 downs every,
Yeah.
potentially 4 downs.
Yeah.
Because if they get within 1 yard, they're going to go for it.
Mhm.
And Washington did that a lot, but because Daniels was able to throw the ball brilliantly on 4th down and run it,
Yeah.
around the edge. They didn't do quarterback sneaks because he's a little guy, but I mean not little. He's a big man and he's strong as can be, but he just looks spindly. And him diving into the line with all those big, probably not the best idea
Yeah.
for longevity.
Yeah.
But Hurts is a big dude, and and he just gets low. And interestingly, Jason Kelsey was the center
Yes.
for them the last whatever number of years. Hall of Fame, probably first ballot when he comes up. The center that's got the ball now seems to be doing pretty good. So
Yeah.
whatever
Doing
technique
well. Yeah.
they have to blow out that middle zone and then just push him through,
Yeah.
it seems to be
And here's the thing, though.
flawless.
They stopped Allen
They stopped him
a
doing
couple
it.
of times
Yeah.
on the tush push. But again, that's one of those where, okay, you've been stopped twice, once
Yeah.
at the goal line, once on a 4th down. You do it, why would you run that exact same play
Right.
when you need to get a first
Right.
down?
Right.
To me, that it's not Allen's fault, it's the
Right.
offensive
Well,
coordinator's fault.
That's
But that's in the past. That's a beef that I have with
Yeah.
watching that game was, you should have done something different because it
Right.
wasn't working.
Well, that's what Kansas City seems to have, is that bubble of, oh, you guys just screwed up, or
Yeah.
the refs screwed up, and
Yeah.
the same thing with how many times did the Patriots win when they shouldn't have won?
Yeah.
And that's what dynasties become
That's
dynasties.
how you're, yeah.
It's like in golf, Ben Hogan was the originator of the saying. He says, good luck, and he says, no. He says, the harder I practice, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because they are so skilled and so confident that they just it happens because they believe it's going to happen
Yeah.
at some level.
Yeah.
But, again, I think if they have to play from behind too long during the game, and Philly gets a little bit of emotion.
Yeah.
Now, there comes the other side of this with Sirianni, the coach, because he's a very emotional guy.
Very.
And they've had fights on the sidelines, and then A.J. Brown reading his book. It's kind of an
I love
eclectic
that.
group of guys.
Did you hear why he does that?
Just because
it clears my mind
Yeah, it
when I'm
clears
on
the
that.
mind, right?
Like I don't get all caught up in it. I'm just sitting there.
So here's the power of the NFL. I think we bring this up the last time. That the sale of that book
Oh yeah.
went through the roof.
Yes.
Because it was seen on the NFL, playoffs, but it was shown to be the power of the viewership, right? People bought it out. Apparently, they couldn't get it any copies. So I guess at this point, we need to make a prediction, right?
Sure.
So my prediction is
Wait, before you do that,
good because I wasn't ready.
Okay.
I just talked myself out of it.
I'll give you time to think, and I will. As if you watch this, I don't know how many people watch us, but we always. My brothers are very involved in it. They
Yes.
watch it. They've been on one time via telephone, and this was such short notice that I didn't have a chance to talk to them. But I texted out and I said, "Give me your picks and your MVP pick." So my brother Steve has got Kansas City 34-31 and Mahomes being the MVP. Okay. My brother Scott, who hasn't been around as much, but he watches, and he said 34-31 Philly with Barkley being the MVP.
Okay.
And then my brother Mike, which I love, his response is like, "Hey, give me your Super Bowl pick and MVP." So he wrote Kansas City 28-17, Mahomes, and then he thought I don't know if these are prop bets that he's hoping for or what, but he said Kansas City 28-17, Mahomes, Kelsey gets engaged, Trump is at the game and sits in the Philly box, which I don't know if Trump's going to the game or not. The commercials won't be any good, and no one watches the halftime show. So that's more than what I asked for, but I love the content. I think it's hilarious, and So now go ahead. You tell me.
Well, it's hard to follow those.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a whole other limb. I think it's going to be Philadelphia 35-17.
Wow.
And Hurts is going to be the MVP.
Wow. That's pretty big score, 35.
It's the only way
Against that
Philly, I
defense.
think, can win.
Yeah.
So I'm picking them to win because
Yeah.
I'll probably be wrong because every time I bet against
Yeah,
Mahomes.
that's right. It
But
comes back to haunt you.
there's just, I don't know, I've watched the whole season. I've been wrong way more. You've been right a lot in your
In the
picking.
picks this year, I've had a good lucky
I think
year.
I know something. So more than likely it'll be the reverse.
Yeah.
That Kansas City will win by 2 touchdowns or
And
something.
I have the Chiefs winning 27-24. They will force a turnover late in the game to seal the win. And Kareem Hunt will be the MVP.
Yeah, that's not a
He
bad
will
pick.
get a couple of rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I like that.
So-
It's not unusual to have a role player win in the Super Bowl, win the MVP.
Yeah.
Because he could catch and run, and he can also run. If he gets an opening, he can
Yeah.
run for some good yardage.
And even if he just gets 3 yards but 3 TDs,
Yeah,
that's still
Oh, yeah.
quite the game.
Well, listen,
It's
the
gonna
multiple TD scenarios happened
Yes.
very much the last few weeks with Saquon got, who was it?
He had
Somebody
3
4 or
last
5.
week. He had 3. Hurts had 3.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then,
That's what it was.
And then
Against
the
Washington.
backup running back
That's
had
right.
1. They
That's
had like
right.
7 rushing
Yeah, I had a lot of
touchdowns.
prop bets with passing that game.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
rushing would help.
55 points with no passing.
All right, so there you got it. That is our Super
That's
Bowl
the-
picks
Definitive.
and our conversation about the NFL. So, if you watch this and you want to give me your thoughts, it's ghicks@somersetmd.us. You want to be a part of the show? Same email me, let me know, and we can see about getting you on. And, happy Super Bowl, I
Happy
guess.
Super Bowl.
So,
We're,
if,
we're ready.
yeah, and, you want to
We didn't even talk about food or snacks or
well, no, it's-
7-layer dip or
No,
wings.
I may
or,
get some of that. That might be a good idea. But yeah,
I have no plan. I'll be watching it by myself.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I-
really care.
yeah. I don't know what Super Bowl food. Usually it's chili,
Yeah.
So
Well, they
Let's see.
anticipate pretty big audience once again.
yeah. Well, of course,
It's always huge.
big.
But I mean, they do measure it in terms of every year's. It's not always a record every year. So
Right.
But they anticipate this might
Yeah,
be one.
it could be. Philly fans.
Well, with the what's her name,
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
You see, I ain't a Swiftie, but with her followers, she's got zillions
Yeah.
and zillions of people that
And
might
you-
watch the game just to see her.
do you know
I
what
don't
the,
care about the game.
You know
I
what the
just wanna see
over/under
her.
is on them cutting away to her?
Oh,
5.5.
5.5.
Is what earlier in the week I heard that.
wow.
So
That's
they were-
really sad.
Yeah.
That's immeasurable.
Yeah.
And that's even bettable.
I'm,
I get the coin toss.
if they're losing,
Taylor.
if they're
oh,
losing, I say under. If they're winning, I say over.
Well, there it is.
That's if they're winning, or Travis is making first downs.
Well,
and-
I mean, it makes sense for the television to
Yeah,
do it,
yeah.
because you have all those people that are
Yeah.
watching that
For
don't
her.
normally necessarily watch football, and
wanna
they want to see her.
Taylor. Yeah,
So
it's not Taylor's fault.
They don't want to get the Swiftie social media.
Man, yeah.
We didn't see her.
Yeah,
It's like she
enough.
wasn't even there.
Boycott the NFL. So, anyway, that's what we got. I
All right.
got the Chiefs 27-24. You got the Chiefs, or you got the Eagles.
Eagles 35-17.
35-17. So
Going out on a limb.
next show, we'll let you know how we did,
Yes.
and
I'll be crowing victory.
yeah, there you go. I'll
Probably
be.
not.
I'll be.
If it goes way it's
So-
gone, it won't happen.
All right,
All right.
Jack. Thank you, and
Have a good
until
one.
next time, go out, start getting active. Weather's starting to.
Golf season's
maybe
almost
go-
here.
Yeah. Go ahead and get
Come
that.
out. Skipjack Super Pass
There it
still
is.
available.
Yeah,
Get
good
'em
time
while
to
they're
get
hot.
it.
They might be going up just a little bit, the pricing, but not much. Still the best deal in the area.
Yes, it is. In one of the better courses.
Course in
the
phenomenal
area.
shape.
Been
It's gonna be
beautiful.
great. Yep.
So, all right. Until next time, be a good sport.
Take care.